Now I'm going to give you an example of this process in action, and I'm going to use a true story of a friend, and I'm applying this process to my friend's situation. Now, I have a friend, and he was working for a boss that did not treat him very well. Treated him very poorly, paid him very poorly, and he was not having a good time. He was calling me up every day, complaining, didn't know what he was going to do. He felt very, very stuck. Now you're probably saying, well, why didn't he apply this process? Well, he had his own process, and I respected that. And the story does have a happy ending, but I'll get to that in a second. But I want you to see, in real terms, how you can apply what I've just taught you in the process to your situation, just so you understand it very clearly. So, in this situation, he would look at his symptoms. How is he feeling? Start with an umbrella term. He was feeling angry and frustrated. But more specifically, how is he feeling? He was feeling stressed. He was building up resentment towards his boss, having revenge fantasies. He would say he's underpaid, underappreciated, reactive, he's complaining, undervalued. And as you go through all those things, when you hit the key terms, for example, in this situation, underappreciated, undervalued, those things that really hit home for him. Those were very, very specific symptoms he had, which will lead you to more specifically the belief. What would he have to believe in order to feel this way, in order to feel underappreciated, undervalued? And in this example, he would spit out answers such as, he would have to believe he's not important, he'd have to believe he's not skilled, not worthy, not good enough. And in this situation, not good enough really hit home for him. So he would have this belief that he is not good enough, and from that belief, he would experience being underappreciated and undervalued. Now, took a look, knowing him as my friend, I thought about his past and what past experiences are there that are very similar. And he had a situation with his father where his father had expectations of him, and in his father's eyes, he would feel like he's not good enough. So the same belief of not feeling good enough with his father manifested from a different perspective in the present, gaining strength with his boss. So he doesn't see his father every day, but he sees his boss every day, and it's gaining strength each time. So what was the benefit to choosing this, to choosing not being good enough? Well, you have to look at the alternative. What would the alternative mean? The alternative would mean he would have to leave and get a new job, but he was feeling not good enough. He would hire someone that feels not good enough. So if he had the belief, if he chose the belief he was good enough, then he would do those things. But he was boxed in a bit because he also had this belief in lack, that he couldn't support himself if he took a break. In reality, he could piece things together. I could see perfectly how that could happen, but he was choosing to believe in lack, and he was feeling fear from that. So he was sort of boxed in with these beliefs. And as I said before, if you can take care of at least one of those, in this situation, the lack belief for not being good enough, then you can find a way out. For example, if you transcended this belief in lack, that you can support yourself, do a bit more research, that you can manage on unemployment and a small side job while you find a better one. So that's one way. If he transcended the belief and chose something else as to not being good enough to being good enough, then he would have quit and started looking for another job and feeling very confident. But instead, he chose to stay and experience this belief not being good enough on a daily basis, and it would grow stronger and stronger, and his emotions would grow stronger and stronger. And in this particular situation, the outcome was that he was fired anyway. The universe sort of threw him out because who he was, believing he's not good enough, is not representative of who he was. It's not representative of who we are. We are unconditional love. We are good enough. We are this higher frequency. And if we stay in there too long, the universe will throw us out. Whether we get fired or get into a car accident, one way or another, it will toss us out. Hopefully it's not that extreme. So what happened was, he was fired, and at that moment, he chose something else because he was put in the circumstances where he would have to sink or swim. And he chose to swim. He got a new job in a couple weeks. And now I use his story as inspiration for others. But in this circumstance, if he were to go back, he would have to look at those two beliefs, the belief in lack and the belief of not being good enough, seeing why he chose them and what the alternative was, and unmasking his motivation to choose them, and taking a step forward in physical reality and seeing the change. And as this change occurs, your emotions will go down and your belief will perpetuate itself in another way. So this is a lesson. A lot of people can relate to this situation. I related to it a couple times in my life, but I just wanted you to see this process that I've given you in action.